Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is CES 2023 weekend. The show is still going strong out in Las Vegas. And if you're into games, there have been a handful of information coming out of the show from companies like Arcade1Up, Stern Pinball, Sony, and My Arcade. Now, I've already covered Arcade1Up in a recent video, so I'm not going to go through those again in this one, but I did want to touch on some of the other things that have come up and come out of the show. So we're going to dive right in on all of that in just a minute. This is Bill's Retro Gaming Show. Alright, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to click that subscription button. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put up a new video. Give this one a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you want to be part of the conversation. So, like I said, it is CES 2023, and while the show tends to focus more on the consumer electronics end of things, new TVs, interesting IoT gadgets, weird funky cars that are never going to come to market, you know, those kind of things, there are a handful of things for the gaming community that usually show up at the show. Arcade1Up put up a big announcement. They showed off their casino cade. They showed off some updates to their legacy brand of cabs. I've already covered that in a video. Be sure to go ahead and check that one out. So I want to dive in and I want to talk about some of the other things that have been shown at the show. And we're going to start with this from Stern Pinball. Alright, so check this video out. Sorry that there is no music. I didn't want to get the copyright strike for the James Bond theme, but this is a 60th anniversary edition of a Stern Pinball machine. Now, when Stern Pinball recently came out with the Dr. No one, and when they had announced that they were coming out with a James Bond themed pinball, I gotta say, this is more of what I thought they were going to release. Not that the Dr. No one is bad, it actually looks really cool, but this thing just looks fantastic, celebrating, again, 60 years of the movie series for sure, going all the way back to the Sean Connery era, all the way through Daniel Craig. There's a little something for everybody on this table. I really dig the Odd Job hat spinning in the middle. There's an LCD screen in the middle of the playfield. Just looks really cool, and I gotta say, this was just a lot of fun to check out and see. Wish I could be at the show to see this kind of stuff in person, but the video definitely looks pretty cool. The topper on it is really neat. I really like the mechanical scoring on the back glass. Very cool. Now, I will say that while this announcement was made during the time of CES, I don't know if that particular machine is actually available to see at CES. Now, Stern Pinball does have a booth there. They were showing off a lot of their more recent machines. I'm just not sure if this particular one was actually there or not. Maybe somebody who was out there to show, or maybe saw, you know, somebody else's coverage, can let us know in the comments below. Also, not sure exactly when this is supposed to come out. It is limited to 500 though, which is kind of interesting for them. So this is really a special edition pinball from them. So if you have any interest in this, if you are a pinball aficionado, this is definitely one to check out. Like I said, I found it really kind of interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about the side panel art with all the different movie posters on it. It's kind of cool, but it feels a little busy to me. The playfield, the table itself looks really kind of cool. Like I said, I was digging that Odd Job spinning hat in the middle, the LCD screen on it, all the little other spinners that are on there. The mechanical score on the back glass seemed like a really unique feature. So definitely something to check out. So hey, look, if you're a fan of pinball and you like James Bond, be sure to keep an eye out for this one. Now, of course, one of the bigger companies that is always at CES is Sony, because Sony has their hands in so much of the electronics market. And of course, they're one of the companies that does a keynote speech during the show, and they did as well this year. Now, during that keynote speech, they did touch a little bit on some of their gaming platform with PlayStation, primarily focused on PlayStation VR and a new specialized controller. Let's dive in and let's talk about it. Here we go. All right, and of course, one of the things that Sony did talk about is PlayStation VR, specifically PSVR 2, the unit for the PS5. Now, PSVR 2 is supposed to launch on February 22nd. I believe the price point is supposed to be right around $550, although I don't think he actually said the price point during the conference. They're talking about having more than 30 games available at launch, including the fact that they are working on bringing Beat Saber to it. Now, the interesting thing about that is you say, well, Beat Saber is already available for PlayStation VR. Well, PSVR 2 is not compatible with PSVR. The PSVR 1 games do not work with PSVR 2, unfortunately. So you're going to have to get all new games for it, which I think is also kind of a shame, to be quite honest. Now, one of the really cool ones that they announced was a update to Gran Turismo 7 to let you play that game in VR. And it is a free upgrade. So if you already own Gran Turismo 7 and you get the PlayStation VR 2, you will be able to download an update to play it in VR. Now, the other big thing that they announced was this. This is Project Leonardo. Now, the whole point of Project Leonardo is that it is a PS5 accessibility controller that is designed for use with people with disabilities. So you can totally customize this to play any way you want with it, and it looks like a really neat thing. My only concern with it is we've seen things like this in the past, and either they wind up being concepts that never really come to market, or there's something that, you know, gets specialty ordered and you never really hear from it in the mainstream again. So I'm hoping that if this is something that they're really pushing, that they want to be able to make controllers and make things that people who would have difficulty playing with a regular controller can get in on the games. You know, I hope it's something that really comes to fruition for them. And finally, the only other thing that I want to mention in terms of Sony and PlayStation is they made the announcement that they sold over 30 million PS5 units. And it seems like the supply constraints are finally lifting. So if you haven't had a chance to get a PS5 yet and you're interested, you should have an easier time finding them available, hopefully starting now. All right, so there you have it. Those were the big announcements from Sony at CES. Of course, we expect more throughout the year. By the time E3 comes is when they really start pushing their big game announcements and anything else like that. Now, those of you who were hoping for or expecting maybe a PS5 refresh, a PS5 Slim, or the rumored one with the external disk drive, that did not make the show at CES. So whether or not that is real, we will probably find out later on this year, probably at E3. But hey, let me know in the comments, what do you think of PSVR 2? I gotta say, I have the original PlayStation VR. I do like it. I gotta say, at $550 and the fact that it is still a wired unit, plus the fact that it doesn't work with the original PlayStation VR games, kind of a letdown, to be quite honest with you. You know, at least if it had been backwards compatible, at least you could have played your old PS4 PSVR games on it. That might have made it a little worthwhile. I don't know. I mean, do I have to keep 2 units and keep them both plugged in? Or do I have to keep my PS4 so I can play them on that? Or, you know, like I said, just keep 2 VR units and plug the original one into the PS5, because it does work if I want to play the old games. And then I don't know. It just feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity. I guess we will see more when it officially launches. Other than that, you know, the graphics on it are supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be a 4K screen. I really like the controllers, way better than using the Move controllers or the gamepad for it. It's got a lot going for it, but I think there's a few misses too, especially at that price point. But hey, just my personal opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All right, and finally, I want to touch on another company. This is My Arcade. Now, My Arcade is known for making portable little mini handheld consoles and game units that you can play on, and they've announced a new partnership with Atari and launched 3 new machines at CES. Let's check them out. All right, so first off, let's just talk about this real quick. This is the Atari Micro Player from My Arcade. Now, my understanding with this is that It's supposed to play close to 100 games. They are all Atari 2600 games, and it's an interesting form factor, one that we've seen from them before. They've done different little mini arcade games in this style. Now, it's kind of interesting that they've put this in this mini arcade style, considering that it doesn't play arcade games but plays Atari 2600 games. You've got your little mini joystick, you've got your A and B button, you've got the little coin doors underneath for, you know, turning it on or starting a game or whatever. Really looks kind of unique. Did not get a price point on this one, but should be coming later this year. And similar to the micro player, this is the Pocket Player. Now, again, this is a little mini handheld that plays Atari 2600 games. Probably the exact same games as the micro player. They said right around 100. So I'm guessing that both of these units are going to wind up having basically the same games in them. Now, this has got a little dial pad for it, for your joystick. You've got, again, A and B buttons. You've got a place for headphones and charging. Again, no price point on this one, but does look kind of unique and fun for on-the-go gaming. But of course, this is the machine that caught everybody's eye. This is the Atari Game Station Plus from My Arcade. Now, this is meant to be a plug-and-play unit. You just plug it into your TV and away you go. You've got the box that plugs into the TV, and you've got these two wireless controllers that you can play with. Now, this is supposed to have over 200 games that range from the 2600 era, the 7800 era, and the arcade. Now, you can see with these joysticks, you've got an A button on the base, you've got a B button on top of the joystick, and then there's a trigger button along with those three little mini buttons on the side. There are RGB lights that light up around the joystick and on the controller as you're playing. Now, again, not sure exactly when this is coming out, although pre-orders are supposed to be open soon for all three of these units. Again, like I said, this is meant to be a plug-and-play, so don't expect, you know, an SD card slot to add games. Don't expect Wi-Fi or any kind of online component to it. This is plug it into your TV, sit down and play, or play with a friend right on your home screen, just like you did back in the day with the, you know, the original Atari units. All right. Now, before I wrap this up, I just want to say I want to give a big shout out to the Rexer show. Rexer was out at CES, and this was one of the things that he was looking at. He was out there. He and BCon got together, and they shot a little video going over this, talking to some of the people there, and he did get them to say that the price point on this is supposed to be right around $100, $99.99. So kudos to you, Rexer. Glad that you were able to get that information out of them. So for those of you who are interested in this, I think $100 price point is a really good price point for a unit like this that can play over 200 games. Looking forward to seeing more information on this as time goes by. All right, so there you have it. That is the Atari Game Station Plus coming from My Arcade. And I got to say, of all these things that we've seen from CES, this is one of the ones that I'm very interested in and excited for. I recently picked up the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection for the Switch, and I've been having a ton of fun playing it. So having something like this that you can just plug in and play all these different games seems like a lot of fun, especially, you know, depending on all the different games. Hopefully it comes with more than just Atari games like the Atari 50th Anniversary did. And what I mean by that is things from other companies like Activision and so many other companies that were so prevalent during the heyday of Atari with the 2600 and the 7800. But again, we'll wait to see a games list and see what they have to say about it. All right. Again, just want to say a huge shout out to Rexer. I'm going to have a link to his video in the description if you want to check it out to get more information on the Game Station from My Arcade. All right, so there you have it. That was some of the bigger news coming out of CES in terms of gaming. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Are you excited for this new James Bond 60th Stern Pinball? What about Sony's announcements on PSVR 2 and this Project Leonardo? And of course, finally, the My Arcade things. Are you interested in this Game Station Plus? Are you more interested in some of their little mini consoles that they have coming out? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, if there's something that got announced at CES that for some reason I just completely missed, but you're excited about, let me know and I will look up more information and I will cover that as well. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.